Hey, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? This is SJP, and welcome back to the SJP Files podcast. Now, today is Power Rankings Day on the pod. As you know, every week I break down the NBA's Power Rankings. When the NFL comes back, I will most likely do a half and half show at the beginning of the week. It'll be probably the NFL the first half of the show, NBA second half of the show. But as of right now, with the NFL just ending, the NBA is back and in full swing. So we're going to break down the NBA's power rankings. Today, we're going to hit a couple stories. First, Anthony Davis, as you all know, re-aggravated his Achilles in the game against the Denver Nuggets on, I believe it was Saturday. I'm pretty sure this was a Saturday game, but it doesn't really matter. He re-aggravated his Achilles injury. He had an MRI on Monday. Well, yesterday. He had an MRI yesterday. No rupture in the Achilles. He'll be reevaluated in LA, but it looks like he'll be out for about 2 to 3 weeks, give or take. So, yeah, he's unlikely to return before the All-Star game. So I think that's a good thing for him. He's having a down year this year. So what I would say is for AD is just to rehab. I think LeBron said it best. I think LeBron said it best, man. Take as much time as you need to get healthy, because I don't think they need to take any chances whatsoever. It's not about the regular season for the Lakers. It's about the playoffs. It's about the championship. This is a championship or bust season for the Lakers. So they need to focus on winning a championship. No more, no less. It's the only thing they need to focus on, because LeBron, although, he's kept Father Time at bay, time is catching up with him. It's eventually going to catch up, and then catches up with everyone. Now, if you really look and watch at how LeBron plays, LeBron doesn't play the same above the rim athletic game he played 10 years ago. He's just not that player anymore. He doesn't have that raw athleticism anymore. You see, he takes a lot more 3-pointers, a lot more, back to the basket. He pushes it when he needs to, but he does not. But you can tell he conserves his energy throughout the game, and still averages like 25, 8, and 8. Ridiculous. Not fair. It really isn't fair just how good he really is. But Anthony Davis is going to be sitting for a couple weeks. To be honest, I don't want to see him till after the All-Star break. All-Star breaks in, I think, like a couple weeks. In like 3 weeks. Yeah, he's going to be about 3 weeks. So yeah, and this is a great chance for LeBron James to truly cement himself as the leading candidate for MVP. If he can keep this team above 500, which I think he can do, if he can keep them above 500, keep them playing well, keep them in like the top half of the rankings in the Western Conference and in the power rankings, they can get this team. Then I think LeBron James could truly cement himself as, without question, the NBA's MVP leader, and that's really all he needs to do right now. That being said, last night in the NBA, we did have, not last night, was it last night? Yeah, it was last night in the Golden State Warriors Cleveland game. The Golden State Warriors played the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers essentially sat. I got a massive headache, sorry. Anyway, but I still bring you the podcast. Anyway, Andre Drummond, Cleveland Cavaliers sat Andre Drummond because they're looking to trade him. That's basically it. They sat him. They don't want him getting hurt because they want to trade him. They want to move him because I really have no idea. Maybe they believe Jared Allen's a better player, which defensively I would agree with. Offensively, not so much. But Jared Allen is a younger version. I would say a younger version of Jared Allen. Jared Allen is probably a younger version of Andre Drummond. Sorry about that. I'm not sure about this. I mean, Andre Drummond's averaging about 18 and 14 on the season. Problem is, Andre Drummond's never really been conducive to winning. He puts up big numbers for his entire career. I'm trying to remember what the hell his career averages are. Yeah, but he's basically, he's basically averaged double-digit rebounds his entire career. With the exception of his rookie year, he's averaged 13, 15, 14, 16, 11, 15, and this year is about 14 rebounds a game. So he's pretty much averaged double-digit rebounds his entire career, especially in Detroit. But he hasn't really been conducive to a winning culture. So I can understand them probably wanting to trade him. If I'm Andre, I'm trying to get to a title contender. Now, this whole situation sparked kind of an outburst from Warriors forward / center Draymond Green. And to be honest, we're gonna go through his quote. Let's see. Green spoke out in the news. Broke that Cavaliers were sitting two-time All-Star Andre Drummond because they were looking to deal him. Draymond watched Monday's game and cheered from the bench wearing street clothes. Yeah, Draymond didn't play this game because he was hurt, I believe. No, he played. I didn't watch this game. I just heard about it. 20 points, 16 assists. Draymond's really become kind of like the playmaker of this team. He's averaging like a career high 8 assists this year. He's really the true like playmaker of this team. And where was I? Yeah. Let's see. To quote Draymond Green, I would like to talk about something that's really bothering me. It's the treatment of players in the NBA in this league, Green said, cursing to emphasize his point. To watch Andre Drummond come out in street clothes because the team is going to trade him is expletive. I'm assuming is fucked because I didn't actually hear the quote. I'm reading it from NBA.com. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think anyone's going to fight that James was dogging it in his last days at Houston, but he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. Yet a team could come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is going to sit, and if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer, and he's not good in someone's locker room, and he's the issue. Green pointed out how then New Orleans Pelicans star Anthony Davis was fined $50,000 for publicly demanding a trade in 2019. As a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation, Green said, but a team can say they're trading you, and that man is to stay in shape. He has to stay professional, and if not, his career is on the line. At some point, this league has to protect the players from embarrassment like that. For Monday's game, Cavaliers coach JB Bickerstaff commended Drummond on the way he's handling the benching. Bickerstaff also said the decision to sit Drummond came only after consulting both Drummond and his agent in the situation. In a similar situation in Detroit, the Pistons have essentially benched Blake Griffin because they're looking to trade him, which, as much as actually, no, I was going to say something nice, but as Blake Griffin's not getting traded. I think he's owed like $39 million this year, and I think he's got a player option for like $40 next year. You're not trading him. You have to buy him out. So I think that's what, basically like $80 million right there. I would, if I'm the Detroit Pistons, cut Blake Griffin a check for $60 million and get him the hell out of there. Because Blake Griffin can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. And I like Griffin. I like his game. I like how his game's evolved. He's not a above the rim guy anymore, but his ball handling skills have gotten better. His shooting's gotten better. The problem is he can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy long enough to get into a rhythm. Now, with the injury to Anthony Davis and Blake Griffin, hey, maybe you want to play for a contender. If I'm the Lakers, if Blake Griffin gets bought out, I'd give Blake some money. I'd give Blake some money to come to the Lakers. Come to the Lakers, see if you can get another ring. And if I wouldn't also mind to see him in Brooklyn. I wouldn't mind seeing him in Brooklyn either. Another big body, talented. You have somebody who could stretch the floor. Also, somebody who's got a bit of a post game, not a great post game, but an okay post game. He's got a good face up game. He can handle the rock himself. So if I would like to see him either in LA or Brooklyn, that's where I would want to see Blake Griffin. But that's not the point. What the point? Speaking of, now I generally, now as you know, I don't exactly like Draymond Green. He's not my favorite person, but on this situation, he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely right. For some inexplicable reason, NBA fans have been, Jedi mind tricked by NBA owners to believe that when a team wants to trade a guy, they sit him and it's for the grade of the team. And when a guy asks for a trade, he's a fucking cancer. He's selfish. I don't know how they did it. It's great marketing. It's absolutely great marketing because the NBA owners, once again, they found a way to Jedi mind trick the fans into believing that the billionaire owner has somehow been wronged by the millionaire player. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. If the problem is, if you can build a winner around a guy, they'll stay. Look at Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. He just signed like a ridiculous supermax contract, like $240 million. He's staying in Milwaukee. Why? Because the Milwaukee Bucks are committed to building a championship team around him. Now, in like 4 or 5 years, or in like 3 or 4 years, if Giannis hasn't reached the promised land, he may ask for a trade. He may believe, hey, it's time. I want a new start. I want a new beginning. He shouldn't be crucified for that. He just gave you 10 years of his career, most like the first half of his prime. At worst, he's giving you the first half of his prime. At best, he's giving you the beginning of his prime. But still, it should still be his option to ask for a trade. Nowhere in a player's contract does it say that they are not allowed to request a trade. And nowhere in a player's contract does it say the team has to trade you. You can make it uncomfortable. It's best to trade the player because shit can get really awkward very quickly. Houston found that out very, very poignantly earlier this season when, James Harden came in and basically, like Draymond Green said, basically dogged it for the whole season. Basically dogged it his whole way there. He wasn't playing hard. And then when he got to Brooklyn, started playing hard again. This shit happens. And sometimes it's just about moving on. And sometimes, Harden played in Houston for, I want to say, like 7 years. Yeah, it's 7 years of James Harden, and you couldn't get it done. And he wants out. He wants to find somewhere else. He gave it his best shot, couldn't get it done, and now he wants to find somewhere else to play. Nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you believe you can get him to stay, try and convince him to stay. And if you can't convince him to stay, let them go. Blake Griffin, as I've been saying earlier this year, he wants out of Detroit. He's played there for a couple of years. He can't stay healthy. As for the whole Andre Drummond situation, I think Andre also wants a chance to win a championship. Andre Drummond's young, so they are definitely going to have to try and trade him. He's making, I want to say, like $28 million this year. That's a tradable contract, and he's young. He's not injury prone as Blake is. So if you can probably get him to a really good team, maybe even a contender, I don't think they're going to buy him out in Cleveland. I think they're really going to try and trade him. I think Blake Griffin's going to get bought out. He's not at the all-star, all-NBA level he once was. So there's almost no chance you're going to get someone to pick up that like $36 and $40 million contract. You're going to have to buy him out. Like I said, his contract is like $80 million over the next 2 years. So you're probably going to have to cut him a check for $50-60 million and put him on the buyout market. Like I said, there are the couple teams I want to see. I would like to see him in is either Brooklyn or LA. I think those are the two best teams for him if he wants a chance to win a championship. And he won't. And with the injury to Anthony Davis, I would think that the LA Lakers would be a really good shot for him. But with the Lakers already having Montrezl Harrell, I would assume with AD sitting out for the next couple of weeks, I would assume probably Kuzma moves into the starting lineup. But Kuzma's gonna have to step up. Kuzma's gonna have to step up big in this injury, place for Anthony Davis. With that being said, Grandma Dream's 100% right on this. They are 100% right on this, and it's a shame. It's a shame that the NBA talks this mess, talks this bullshit, while players, it's not just the NBA owners, it's the NBA owners, it's the NFL owners, it's pretty much owners in every league have somehow went to a conference and learned how to Jedi mind trick the audience into believing that these millionaires have somehow wronged these billionaire owners into convincing them that, hey, we're right and the players are selfish. And that's a problem that needs to be fixed almost immediately. Now with trade offers, with the whole trade rumor thing, I'm gonna move over to the NFL real quick. In the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks basically put out a statement that there is no chance in hell they're trading Russell Wilson, which is smart. And to be honest, I'm shocked that they even waited this long to put out this press release. Trading Russell Wilson would be insane. Considering trading Russell Wilson would be insane. Russell Wilson hasn't asked for a release. Russell Wilson has basically said, hey, I'd rather not get hit anymore. I'm trying not to get hit. He's pretty boy, curly hair, beautiful wife. He's not trying to get hit. He's not trying to get killed out there. So try and fix the offensive line. And he's got some weapons, especially in DK Metcalf, who's one of the 5 best receivers in professional football right now. But the problem with them is they need to shore up that offensive line, and they need to change the offense. This offense needs to get better immediately. This offense is horrendous. This is a bad offense. This is a really, really stagnant offense. This is a run-first offense with a Hall of Fame quarterback at the top, which is ridiculous. You need to try and do what something similar to what Kansas City does. That's what Seattle needs to do. Something similar to what Kansas City does. Put the ball in your Hall of Fame quarterback's hands. Put the ball in his hands. That's all you need to do. And sure, you need to have a running game. You need to have a running game without question. And Kansas City does have a running game with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But you need a good running back, but you also need to put the ball in Russell's hands. He's your magic. If you're going to win, if you're going to have a chance at winning, you need him to succeed. You need to put him in an opportunity to succeed. You don't need to tear down the whole thing. You just need to shore up the offensive line and give him a chance to succeed. Give him a chance to cook. Let Russ cook. And you let Russ cook for the first half of the season, for the first 6 games. And then you had a couple bad games, and then you panicked and went back to your run-first offense, which has begun to irritate him. Now, you said you're not going to trade him, so find a way to fix it. I don't care what you do. Suck up. Kiss his ass. I don't care. But find a way to fix this. Find a way to fix this immediately. Now, with that being said, we're going to go back to the NBA rankings. We're going to go back to we're going back to the NBA Power Rankings. At top of the rankings, let's see. We're going to start out with the plus-minus players of the week. Right way, Jamal Murray, plus 64 in his 4 games last week. Eric Gordon from Houston, heading in the wrong way, a minus 73 in his last 3 games. Jesus Christ. Teams of the week, Portland are 4-0. Jesus Christ, I did not think that Portland would be this good with the injury to CJ McCollum. He's not back yet, and they're still playing well. Jesus Christ. Shout out to Dame Lillard. I thought they were going to fall off a cliff. Not going to happen. All right. The Houston Rockets, after praising them the last couple weeks after the trade with James Harden, they went 0-4 this week. All 4 losses to teams with losing records, and 3 of the 4 losses by 22 points or more. God damn. Once again, the West, East versus West, the West, once again, dominant over the Eastern Conference. They went 20-11 last week for a yearly record of 93-55. Jesus Christ. Toughest schedule through week 8. Detroit, Denver, Oklahoma City. Easiest schedule, Orlando, Philly, Toronto. All right, we got movements in the rankings. High jumps of the week, Dallas plus 6, Miami plus 5, Detroit plus 4, Phoenix plus 4. Free falls, Houston minus 9, Sacramento minus 5, and Cleveland minus 4. All right. Last week's power ranking. Let's see. Oh, teams to watch. In week 9, the Raptors just went 5-1 in their last 6 games. Had a step back after losing to the Celtics and the Wolves. But doesn't really matter much. All right, so key stats for the power rankings are pace, offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating. Pace is possessions per 48 minutes. Offensive rating, points scored per 100 possessions. Defensive rating, points allowed per 100 possessions. And net rating, point differential per 100 possessions. So we're going to start off with the Utah Jazz, who are 22-5. They're 24th in pace, slow pace team, but 4th in offensive rating, 2nd in defensive rating, number 1 in net rating for the year. They're on an 18-1 stretch against teams currently under 500. They're just a better team this year. They're a freakish team this year, and it's so good to see. I am so happy for them. The Utah, I don't think they can actually win a championship this year. I think they need another. My issue with them, I think they need another score. That's honestly what I believe. I think they need one more score for this team. By score, I mean they need essentially another Donovan Mitchell. They need another high volume scorer on this team, because I love Donovan Mitchell, but you don't really have another number 2 on this team. Bojan Bogdanovic, sorry, not Bogdan. Bogdan's in, I think, Atlanta. But Bojan Bogdanovic, 39% from the 3-point line, great 3-point shooter, but he's not a guy who can really create his own shot. Jordan Clarkson is definitely making a case for himself for 6th man of the year, averaging 18, I think, off the bench, averaging pretty much 18 points off the bench. He looks great, and they just had a comeback win against the Philadelphia 76ers. They were, just had a comeback win against the Philadelphia 76ers, playing extremely well in just a battle against the Sixers, and I'm very, very happy for this team. Actually, yeah. Sorry, got lost in thought sometimes. My bad. But that's not the point. Just had a win against the Philadelphia 76ers, 134-123. Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson give you 40 points off the bench. Donovan Mitchell give you 24 points. Joe Ingles, 20 points. Bojan, 11 points. Royce O'Neal, 11 points. Rudy Gobert, 11 points. So they're an incredibly talented, well-balanced team. A lot of defense. Rudy Gobert, like a stout in the middle, rim protection. Not great lateral movement. Not a great offensive player, but a great defensive player and a good rebounder. Donovan Mitchell, he's a bit of a volume scorer. Like in this game, 9 for 24. He'll have games like that. He has games like that on a regular basis. But Donovan's a really, really good player. Yeah, he's only shooting 42% from the field. He's shooting 39% from three. That's great, but he's like your traditional volume scorer. But he's still a great player. And that's the main issue. And also in this game, Joel Embiid didn't play. Ben Simmons showing you what he could really do if he had kind of his own team. He had 42 points, 9 rebounds, 12 assists. That's his season high. Tobias Harris had 36 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Tobias Harris continued to have a resurgence with Doc Rivers coaching this team. He's averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Having a great year from him. He could very well be he might be one of those most improved player of the year award kind of guys. They don't lose often. They're still at the top of the Eastern Conference with the Utah Jazz at the top of the Western Conference. But I'll say it again. I think they need one more playmaker. And as much as I love Jordan Clarkson making like a serious case for himself as Sixth Man of the Year, but they need a true like another scorer in the starting lineup. And to be honest, they might need they do have a true point guard, but Mike Conley's hurt right now. But still, I still really like this team, and it's good to see them in the top half of the power rankings. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna pay some bills, and then when we get back, we're gonna really dive deep into the power rankings with the second, third, fourth, fifth, so on and so forth on the teams of the power rankings. All right, be back momentarily. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is SJP, the host of the SJP Files. Have you heard about Anchor? If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Where was I? Yes, the power rankings. We just did the Utah Jazz, who are at number 1, falling. The Utah Jazz, moved up from number 2 to number 1, and the number 2 team has been the number 1 team on the power rankings for the majority of the year. I think most of these power rankings, with the exception of this one, and I'm going to say 2 weeks ago, the LA Lakers have essentially been the number 1 team on the power rankings, deservedly so. They are 21-7 right now. They are second place in the Western Conference, half a game up on the Clippers, 2 games back of the Jazz. Now, let's see. The Lakers, about 3 months from the postseason. Like I said earlier, Anthony Davis, that just injury, he's re-aggravating his Achilles tendon injury. Reports are he'll be out for about 2 to 3 weeks. Keep him out until after the All-Star break. I do not want to see him. And they'll probably fall back in the rankings a little bit with them playing, with Anthony Davis not playing. I expect Kyle Kuzma, if they want to keep great pace, Kyle Kuzma has to step up. He's got to score more. and still got to play good defense, which he has been playing all year. I'm very happy with his maturation this year. Far less of like the overshooting you had last year during the season. He really stepped up in a big way in the playoffs and in the finals. He's just gotten better and better and better. As I know, his numbers aren't the same, but he himself has gotten better. He's playing better with this team, and I'm very, very happy about it. But the Lakers are 22nd in pace, not surprising, 10th in offensive rating, 1st in defensive rating, 4th in net rating. They have the best defense in the league, despite the fact not having a lot of great defenders. You don't have exactly a lot of great defenders on this team. You have good defenders and a great team defensive scheme. LeBron James, once again, GOAT James, making his argument for being, once again, the league MVP. And this should be him going for like his 7th MVP. It really should. It really should. He should have won the one that Derrick Rose won, and he probably should have won the one that James Harden won. So this should be him going for his 7th MVP. But it's him going for his 5th. And this injury to Anthony Davis, I think, is going to give Davis a chance to refocus, because he's not having a great year. He's shooting like 29% from 3. He's not having a great year offensively, but it's going to give him a chance to refocus. And it's going to give LeBron a chance to solidify himself as the premier MVP candidate this year. He's averaging 25 and a half, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He's shooting not a career high, because he shot, I want to say like 40% from 3 1 year, but he's shooting 38% from 3 on a career high. I want to say 7 threes a game. So he's making 3 of them, give or take. Making 3 of his 7 3-pointers every game. He's shooting near 50%, which he does every year, shooting about 71% from the line. He's very much looking forward to his 5th championship, 11th finals appearance. He's like I said last year, he's put himself in a remarkable position to go to three-peat as long as Anthony Davis can stay healthy. You got Dennis Schroeder in the starting lineup, averaging 14 points. Montrezl Harrell averaging 13 points. THT doing good work off the bench. Wesley Matthews he has a couple good games every now and again, but this is still the deepest team in the league. Kyle Kuzma, like I said earlier, is having just a really good season, averaging 45% from the field, 35% from 3, which is, I believe, a career high from him. He's only shooting like 62% from the free throw line, but that's one of those things that just happens. He's definitely going to have to step up. I want to see him around like somewhere between 15 to 20 points a game in this area where, Anthony Davis is hurt. If they want to keep pace with not the rest of the NBA, in this week they play the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Miami Heat. The Brooklyn game is a game I really want to see. I'm pretty sure that's going to be on TV. I'm pretty sure it's a TV game. Anyway, okay. With Davis being out, I'm assuming their defense is going to fall, because Davis is one of I want to say 2 players with 30 steals and 30 blocks on the season. So we're going to see just how deep this team really is this year. Next is the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 20-8, 3rd place in the Western Conference. Notice that the top 4 teams on the power rankings are all Western Conference teams. Clippers, let's see, Paul George has missed the last 5 games with a sore right foot, but they've still won 4 of their last 5. They won 4 straight, 7-3 in their last 10. Kawhi Leonard is making a solid case for MVP. I want to say he's 5th in the MVP rankings this year. Lou Williams is, for over the last 6 games, Lemon Pepper Lou over the last 6 games is averaging 22 points. True shooting percentage of 66%. Taking care of business. They've got the Miami Heat, the Utah Jazz, and the Brooklyn Nets this week. So we'll see how that. I think a great week for them would be 3-1. I think 3-1 would be a really good week for them this week. Paul George is still out. Kawhi Leonard missed the Clippers game against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday, but they still won. Congratulations. As people know, I'm not the biggest fan of the LA Clippers, but they're 26th in pace, 2nd in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, 3rd in net rating. The LA Clippers are a good team. They're a really good team. They're better than they were last year. Even without Montrezl Harrell, I do believe they're a better team than they were last year because I think T. Lue has them focused for the first time. And even though I'm not exactly a fan of this team, I don't like the way they handle business. I didn't like the way they handled business last year, and it really, really irritated me how everyone crowned them the NBA champions, despite the fact that nobody on this team has won anything except for Kawhi Leonard. Now, this year, this team has very much been more of, I'm trying to think of it, it's very much been more of the team a lot of us expected to see last year. But without them, really keeping this together, this team fell apart in the playoffs last year. To be honest, without Kristaps Porzingis' injury in the first round, they probably lose to Dallas. But this year, they look focused. They look dangerous. I don't want to see them in the playoffs. But I'm not completely sold on them. I need to see Paul George. For me to be really sold on them having a real chance to win the championship, I need to see Paul George be consistent in the playoffs. That's all I need from this team. Because I know what I'm going to get from Kawhi Leonard. And I know Kawhi Leonard, shit the bed last year in Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets. Sorry. But it's Paul George. He's the linchpin. He's the X factor. He's the guy I need to see truly show up in the playoffs, play consistent basketball for an entire series. One or two games in a series where he completely disappears, or he scores like 10 points and goes like 6 for 20 from the field, or like 2 for 14. That can't happen. If that happens at any point in the playoffs, because you could probably get out the first round depending on who you play. But if in the second round, when you start playing like actual, contenders, legitimate contenders in the second round, shit like that will get you bounced, which is exactly what happened last year. Shit like that will get you bounced, and I don't want to see that happen to them. I want to see them get better. I want to see them succeed. I don't want to see them win a championship because I want LeBron to win his 5th ring. And I don't know if they could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series, a fully healthy Lakers team in a 7-game series. But I would like to see the series go 7 games. And if Paul George is going to disappear for multiple games, that's not going to happen. If he's going to disappear for multiple games, they're not going to beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. They're not even going to get to 7 games. If Paul George disappears for multiple games in a series like that, if the moment becomes too big for him and he shrinks like he is known to do, they're going to lose in 5 or 6 games. And I want this Battle of LA to really happen because first of all, I want to see LeBron and Kawhi really go at it as the 2 best players on the team. Because the last time they went at it in the playoffs was in the NBA Finals a couple years, like 5 or 6 years ago. And LeBron was the best player on Miami, but Kawhi wasn't the best player on San Antonio. Not yet. He wasn't that guy yet. He wasn't the guy he is now back then. And he's had a couple injuries since then, and LeBron's still his old and a fucking Iron Man. But I want to see them clash in the playoffs. I want to see them really go at it for like who's the best team in LA. It's the Lakers. But I want to see them really go at it. I want to see a great 7-game series from these guys. But if Paul George doesn't, show up, That's not going to happen. They're not even going to get to the Western Conference Finals to play the Lakers. They might get bounced by the Utah Jazz. They might get bounced again by the Denver Nuggets, who are starting to play better. They might get bounced by the next team on our power rankings, the Phoenix Suns, who moved up from 8 to 4. The Phoenix Suns, who are now the 4th team in the Western Conference, who have won their last 6 games. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. 7-5 on the road, 10-4 at home. They're 5 games back of the top seed, about 2.5 games back of the Clippers. But they are the top. But they are the team that they're one of the teams who I'm really, really happy for. They've gotten better and better as the year goes on. They've gotten more accustomed to playing with each other as the year goes on. They've played better and better as the year. I think, Chris Paul has kind of slowed down this offense, which is a little surprising because I think that Andre Drummond and Devin Booker play better in an up and down style, but I think they're finally adjusting to Chris's pace, and he's very much set the pace for this team. They're 29th in pace, they're 14th in offensive rating, 5th in defensive rating, 6th in net rating, and that 5th in defensive rating is something I expected to see because Chris is a great defender. He is a great defender. And Devin Booker has very much matured in this game. They just beat Orlando on the 14th. Devin Booker he's averaging 25, 4, and 4, which is slightly down from his average last year. He was averaging like 27 points. He's shooting a slightly lower percentage from the field. He's actually shooting a better percentage from the field. Sorry about that. A better percentage from 3. He's still averaging a better percentage from 3. He's averaging the difference because he's taking the same amount of shots he did last year. Took 18 shots last year. He's taking 18 shots this year. He still makes about 50% of his shots, so he makes 9 out of every 18 shots, give or take. He's still averaging basically the same amount of 3-pointers. He averages about 6 3-pointers a game, makes about 2 of them, about 36%. His difference this year is he's averaging less free throws. He's averaging 2 less free throws, which means 2 less points. But his rebounds are down and his assists are down. His rebounds are down, but not by much. He's averaging like 3.8 to 4.2. It's not a big. His assists are down because he's not the primary ball handler on this team. Chris Paul is the primary ball handler, and I think Devin Booker this year is getting like a master class in how to run a team to the point where in a couple years, because Chris, I think, has a couple more years left on his contract, like 2 or 3 years, and I think Devin Booker could really learn a lot from Chris Paul. I think he can learn an immense amount from Chris Paul, who this year is averaging about 17 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. I think this is Chris Paul this year is doing what I think he did a little bit for SGA last year. He's taking Devin Booker. He's taking Devin Booker to finishing school. Devin Booker has all the talent in the world. Premier scorer, but I think he's teaching Devin Booker more about the game, how to play it, how to push, how to pull back, how to conserve yourself, how to space the game, how to play better defense, how to play better offense, a more consistent, more spaced out offense. And I think that's going to be great for Devin Booker's career. And it seems like Devin Booker and Chris Paul both have a similar fuck you mentality. Fuck you. Yeah, they have that mentality that I love to see. And it's not like the passive aggressive fuck you that LeBron James has. It's just a straight up, fuck you, I could care less. I could care less about you if you're not on my team. And I love that about him. And you've seen spurts of that. Excuse me. And you've seen spurts of that over the last few years with Devin, but you're very much seeing it this year with Devin. And this, And Chris Paul addition to this team has been wondrous for another guy on this team, Mikhail Bridges, who's averaging about 14 points a game. He's averaging 4 more shots, 2 more makes. Percentage is about the same. He's averaging more three-pointers made, slightly more free throws, more rebounds, more assists. Plus minus is up. Blocks. He's averaging less steals, but more blocks. He's a very good wing defender on this team. Big, like, he's a 3-and-D guy, essentially. He's a 3-and-D guy, and you can see his maturation process. Now, this could be either just because sometimes guys just mature in a different way, and other times guys just take a leap, and sometimes guys take a leap because there's a new influence on the team. Now, this is a well-coached team by Monty Williams. You got a couple guys on this team who can really, really play. Now, one guy I am a little bit disappointed in this year is DeAndre Ayton, because I expected DeAndre Ayton to be a little bit better this year, especially on the offensive end. His percentages have gotten better, but shots per game has gone down. He averaged about 15 shots a game last year. This year he's averaging only 10 shots. So I think that's just adjusting to this offense, adjusting to Chris. But his offensive numbers have gone slightly down a bit, but he's still playing well. He's averaging more rebounds, slightly less blocks. He's become a better defender this year. If you've watched him play, he's become a better defender. I'm very, very excited to see how well this team could be, because right now they're in the 4-5 matchup against the Phoenix Suns. And if both teams are healthy, I think the Suns, they're the 4-5 matchup against Portland Trailblazer. Sorry, they can't be in a 4-5 matchup with themselves, but they're in a 4-5 matchup with the Trailblazers. If the Trailblazers are healthy with, Dame and CJ, I think they could beat the Phoenix Suns. I think the Suns could beat the Trailblazers in a 7-game series, but they're gonna have a hard. I don't think that's a great matchup for them, because I think the Suns have a little bit too much firepower with McCollum and Dame. The Trailblazers have a little too much firepower for Phoenix, but that's a series I would very much like to see. Chris Paul going up against Dame Lillard, I think that'd be a great series. All right, we're going to move down to the 5th team in our power ranking, who moved down from 3rd. The Philadelphia 76ers, who are 18-9. They're at the top of the Eastern Conference, a game and a half ahead of Milwaukee and Brooklyn, about 4 games ahead of Boston and Indiana, who are both playing at 500. Jesus Christ. The New York Knicks are the 6th-ranked team after, Julius Randle just had like a 44-point game. We'll get to them later. Julius Randle getting 44 points. The fuck is happening in New York? Jesus Christ. The Eastern Conference. Let me take it quick. The Eastern Conference sucks so much. Eastern Conference, there's some talent, but the Eastern Conference is bad. How the hell your 4th-ranked team in your conference is playing 500 basketball? The 5th team in your conference is playing 500 basketball. The 6th team in your conference is a game under 500. 7th is 2 games under 500. 8 is 3 games under 500. 9 is 4 games under 500. And your 10th team, the Miami Heat, are 5 games under 500. They've lost their last 2. Wow. I don't know if the Eastern Conference is just bad or the Western Conference is just that much better, because the gap between the top 3 in the East and the next 3 in the East is ridiculous. And the Boston Celtics, I'm very disappointed in them this season. Very, very disappointed. They are playing bad basketball, but they are not the focus of our current conversation. Philadelphia 76ers are. After a 14-0 start to the season, the starting lineup first 2 losses of the season on Tuesday and Thursday. Jesus Christ. The 14-0 start to the starting lineup. Sorry, the starting lineup had won their full healthy starting lineup, suffered its first 2 losses on Thursday and Saturday. They played a season high 30 minutes in Phoenix, but they lost both of their games against Phoenix and the Blazers. Joel Embiid is out right now. He had like a foot injury and missed the game. But who cares? Who cares? I think that's career. But who cares? Stats-wise, Joel Embiid is in the top 3 in the MVP conversation, averaging almost 30 points, basically about 30 points a game, 54 from the field, 40% from 3, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. His face-up game is like on another level. His mid-range game is freakishly good. His pull-up game, I mean, he could pull it up, pull back. He can do it all. Now, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't think him and Ben Simmons can win a championship together. I think one of these guys, and I think this year is going to prove it, I think one of these guys has to go. And right now, I'm sticking with Embiid. I'm all in on Joel Embiid. I know he's got some injury issues, and you do need another player. You do need another scorer beside him, a perimeter scorer beside him. But as much as I love Ben Simmons' defensive game, his offensive game makes me want to strangle him. It's so bad. His offensive game is so bad, it makes me want to strangle him, and that hurts. I don't want to strangle you, Ben, but you need to get your shit together. You need to evolve and grow your game, and for the last 5 years, you've basically been the exact same player, so that doesn't change my mind about you. But Joel Embiid, he has evolved. Doc Rivers is the best thing to happen to him. It's also the best thing to happen to Tobias Harris, who's also playing freakishly well. He's averaging about 21 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Great for him. Ben Simmons averaging 15 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, which is once again good for him. Matthias Thibault, not really. Scratch that. The next leading scorer on this team, I believe, is Seth Curry, who's kind of been in and out of the lineup himself this year, but he's averaging 13 points, 50% from the field, 47% from 3, 97% from the free throw line. Some ridiculous shooting numbers. This defense, they're not a great defense right now. They're top 10 in defense. I don't think they're a great defense. They're 7th in pace, 13th in offensive rating, 6th in defensive rating, 7th in net rating. I'm a little surprised you see a team with Joel Embiid in the top 10 in pace in the NBA. But that's just how it is. They've got the best mid-range shooting in the NBA at almost 50%. They're low in three-point volume. They only attempted 17 three-pointers on Saturday against the Phoenix Sun, which is like 27th in the league. This week they play the Utah Jazz, the Houston Rockets, the Chicago Bulls, and the Toronto Raptors. All right, next on the power rankings are my beloved Brooklyn Nets, who are 16-12. They're 4th in pace, 13th. Well, actually, they're 17-12. I know the rankings came out yesterday. Like I said earlier, I was at work before I got a chance. 3rd in offensive rating, 25th in defensive rating, 8th in net rating, 8th in net rating. Let's see. They did lose to the Pistons. Didn't really care. I don't care. And on Saturday, they destroyed the Warriors. Oh, yes, I almost forgot about this game. They beat the Warriors on Kevin Durant's return to Golden State because he didn't play last year. Returned to Golden State. Played well, and it looks like all those guys have kind of buried the hatchet between them. Draymond Green and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, y'all got some love. Y'all gave each other some loves. That's great. That's great for them. And I'm not hating on this team. I would never hate on them because they're my squad. You know, I'm from New Jersey, born in Jersey, spent some time in Brooklyn, but the Nets just had like a season high, actually a franchise high in 3-pointers this week. Congratulations. Franchise high in 3-pointers against the Sacramento Kings. How many 3-pointers did they hit? Hit 27 threes. Jesus Christ, 27 for 47. Essentially, they didn't blow out the Sacramento Kings because they only won 136 to 125. It's an 11-point difference. But still, Kevin Durant didn't play. Kyrie Irving, I think, had a season high like 40 points. James Harden, 29, 13, and 14. As reports state, you know, Kyrie Irving kind of ceded control of the offense to James Harden. Told James Harden essentially, you're the point guard, I'm the off guard of this team. I don't know if that's exactly how the conversation went. If I had to guess how the actual conversation went, hey, we need to figure out a way to play better as a unit. You know, what do you think? And they probably came to an understanding that Kyrie's better as the 2 and James Harden's just a better passer. He's the better point guard of the 2. He's the better, you know, playmaker for others and maybe for himself. But that's the role that suits him best on this team. He needs to be the primary playmaker. Offense needs to run through KD. And Kyrie is the off-ball guard. Now, Kyrie isn't exactly a great catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter. I think he's averaging like 33% on catch-and-shoot threes for the season. But this offense is better, which is scary to say for the rest of the NBA. This offense is better with James being the primary ball handler, the primary facilitator, the primary leader of this offense. And that's all that really needs to be said about that. This team is better with him as the kind of primary ball handler, the primary leader. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And back to the power rankings. The 7th team on the power rankings, the Denver Nuggets, another team that has been ramping up. They had a slow start to the season. Most of the teams that played in like that played in the bubble, in the latter stages of the bubble, are really have had slow starts this season. The worst is being the Eastern Conference Championship champions, the Miami Heat. The Boston Celtics, who played in the Eastern Conference Finals, they're not exactly playing well either. The LA Lakers are the only team that really started the season out essentially ready to go, but they had some fresh new faces. That's one of the reasons why. And LeBron James is like the eternal Iron Man in the NBA. Utah Jazz got bounced in the first round. Portland Trailblazers got bounced in the first round. The Denver Nuggets made it to the Western Conference Finals, lost to the LA Lakers, but they had a very slow start to the season. But you can see they're getting better and better as the season goes on. They're essentially starting to ramp up. Now they've won their last 3. They're only 6-4 in their last 10 games, but you can see they're really starting to ramp up as the season really kicks into high gear. Nikola Jokic is in the top 2 or 3 in the MVP ratings right now. They themselves are 7th in the Western Conference. They're in that like bubble range. It kind of sucks for them. But all in all, Nikola Jokic is averaging like what, 20? Oh, he's got to be averaging like 29 points. And I'm trying to look up his stats real quick. But he's got to be averaging like 29 points for the year. No, 27. Having 27 points on the season, 11 and a half rebounds, and almost 9 assists. Just a, customary year for him. His issue with the MVP standings, the only reason he's not, I would say, honestly, the only reason he's probably not number 1 is because, one, LeBron James is on the list, and the narrative kind of rests with LeBron, but his play is great. The problem is his team their records not enough. That's their issue. That's his issue right now. It's their record. With Joel Embiid, his issue is playing enough games. Same thing with Kevin Durant. LeBron James is going to play enough games and have the numbers to win the MVP award. The Denver Nuggets, they might not win enough games because with the other teams in the Western Conference right now, with the way I think the best they could probably end up is, I don't think they're going to end up at the top of the Western Conference because I think the Utah Jazz are just on a streak right now. The Los Angeles Lakers, they got LeBron James. The Clippers are playing really good basketball. As long as they can stay partly healthy for the rest of the year, I don't see them really losing that many games. The Phoenix Suns are ramping up themselves. The Portland Trailblazers are playing really good basketball. So I think their best hope is about fourth, maybe fifth seed in the Western Conference because I don't think they're going to have a better record than the Clippers, the Lakers, or the Jazz. So I don't know if they're going to win enough games for Nikola Jokic to win the MVP award, even though he's going to have an definitely MVP level season. Michael Porter Jr. has been getting better and better as the year goes on. He started out the year healthy. He's played like 10 less games than Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, who kind of took a step back after the bubble. What more can you really say? We all thought he was going to take a bigger step in his offense, but he took a step back, and Nikola Jokic just taking a big step into this offense. And I feel like he got drained by the bubble, and that turnaround wasn't long enough for him to really get himself composed. But that's pretty much it for the Denver Nuggets. It looks like they're ramping up. Number 8, the Milwaukee Bucks, who fell from number 5. The Milwaukee Bucks, there's not much to say about them. Not really much to say about them. They're 6th in pace, 1st in offense, 13th in defense, 2nd in net rating. They have a tendency to blow teams out. I did like seeing Giannis, take like a game-winning attempt in Phoenix. I like to see him, trying to expand his game. It's good for him to try to expand to the mid-range, get a mid-range game. We all knew that shot wasn't going in. Everybody knew that shot wasn't going in. But I'm glad to see that he actually took it. I'm glad to see he's actually attempting to expand his game. All right, 9 is Portland. Talked about them a little bit earlier. Shocked to see them as good. And Carmelo Anthony has been on like a remembrance tour the last couple games, just letting people know, reminding people just how good he was in his prime. A couple of fourth quarters, him just putting this team kind of on his back and showing everybody, remember how good I used to be. Remember how good I was. And he's averaging like 19 points in 5 of their last 7 games. He's playing very good basketball right now. Lillard is once again being Damian Lillard, showing everyone who hasn't really been paying attention to Portland in the last couple of years just how good he is. San Antonio at number 10. We got Golden State at 11. They're playing better as the season goes on. They're kind of hanging in there around 500. I think they're 15 and 13 right now. Yeah, 15 and 13 right now. The disappointing team of the year, the Dallas Mavericks, are at 13. Even though they've gone up from 15, they're still disappointing to me. I expected them to be far better. They're in like that bubble range, that play-in tournament range from 7 to 10. They're the 10th team in that range. I'm still vastly disappointed in this team, to the point I don't really want to talk about them. Boston Celtics, another team I'm disappointed in. How the hell you guys with Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, and Jaylen Brown, how the hell you guys are at 500? At 500 with 26 games played, and you guys are at 500? Yo, get the hell out of my face with that bullshit. They are so disappointing. Indiana Pacers, not so disappointing. Last year, it was, to me, kind of a fluky thing for them. I did not expect them to be that good. And they traded Victor Oladipo, and Karis LeVert has yet to play for them. So, not surprising. that they're kind of at 500 right now. Memphis Grizzlies, they're 15th in the power ranking. Once again, another team, not overly surprised by where they're at. They're still such a young team. They barely missed the playoffs last year. Charlotte Hornets, one of my favorites in the Eastern Conference. I absolutely love them. Such a young team. They're at the 7th place in the Eastern Conference. Gordon Hayward continues to have a resurgence. I think the Boston Celtics, really miss Gordon Hayward. I didn't think they would, but I think they really miss Hayward over there because he's playing so well in Charlotte. And this is just such a young team. You got Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, and Terry Rozier is not that young. He's kind of like in the middle, kind of like in his prime. Devontae Graham still in like his third year. LaMelo Ball's in his first year. Even though he's back, Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington missed their last game against the San Antonio Spurs with a bit of a back issue. Health and safety protocols for PJ Washington, but they're still a good team. Still such a good team, and they had in LaMelo Ball still at the top of the power rankings. Charlotte Hornets, I'm very, very attached to them. I like the way they play. I love LaMelo Ball. Should have been the number 1 overall pick and kind of proved it in their game against the Minnesota Timberwolves over the weekend. Proved it that he deserved to be the number 1 overall pick. Number 17, the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler's back, but they're still not getting. They still have a top 10 defense for a Pat Riley team is no surprise. Pat Riley, not a Pat Riley coach team, but an Eric Spoelstra coach team and a Pat Riley run team. That's not surprising whatsoever that they're in the top 10 in defense. But this team, they're not a team. I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed in them. I'm trying to be nice, but I'm disappointed in them. They're 10-6 against teams that have a losing record and 1-9 against teams above 500. It looks like they just can't beat good teams this year. Sacramento Kings 18, Toronto Raptors 19, another disappointing team. The New York Knicks 20, although they're low in the power rankings. The New York Knicks are like 6th in the Eastern Conference right now, firmly in playoff position. I think they can keep that up the whole year with the addition of Derrick Rose. After he got traded to New York, with the additions of Derrick Rose, I think they're firmly in the playoff hunt. Atlanta Hawks at 21, little disappointed in them. I thought they'd be better this year. 22, the New Orleans Pelicans, vastly disappointed in them. Thought they'd be far better this year. Zion Williamson is not the athlete he was at Duke, which is strange to say for a guy who's only been in the league for like 2 years. This is only his second year in the league, and you can visibly see he's just not as explosive as he was at Duke. He's not, especially on the defensive end. I didn't think he'd be a great defender, but I thought he'd be like a good help side defender. I never thought he'd be a great one-on-one defender, but his athletic ability, I assume, would allow him to close out on three-point shots better, and to get you some real highlight blocks around the rim, but he's just not getting it done. And I do think, and I heard this rumor earlier this week, I do think one of these guys are eventually going to have to go. Between Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, one of these guys are probably going to get traded eventually. Probably Ingram. Assuming Zion can really stay healthy, it's probably going to be Ingram. But Oklahoma City, 23rd, not really surprising. But with Chris Paul leaving, I'm not surprised where they're at in the power rankings, but they're still playing good basketball. They're still playing tough basketball. They're not getting blown out on a regular basis. They're still playing teams tough. The Houston Rockets, after praising them over the last couple of weeks for how they're doing after the James Harden trade, they moved up to like top 4 in defense, but they're not playing well right now. They've lost like 4 games by multiple blowouts. The Detroit Pistons are 25th. They suck. They're looking to trade Blake Griffin. Chicago Bulls at 26. Orlando at 27, Washington at 28. They're not the worst team in the NBA. Minnesota Timberwolves are 29th. They just got Karl-Anthony Towns back. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are 30th. Even though Cleveland doesn't have the worst record in the league, they're the worst record. They are the worst team in the power ranking, especially considering the fact that they're about to trade Andre Drummond to build around, I'm assuming, Colin Sexton and Jared Allen. I don't really keep track of most of the teams in the back half of the power ranking because most of them profoundly suck and aren't really worth the time and the energy it would take to keep a firm eye on them. They're just terrible. A lot of these teams are just terrible. And that's it for the power rankings of this week. There's not much. I'll be back on probably Friday or Saturday. I'll be back probably Friday. To discuss, some of the games that happened this week in the NBA, some of the stories that happened this week in the NBA. Let's see if anything happens with the whole Draymond Green situation. Players of the week for week 8. Devin Booker in the Western Conference, 32 points, 5 rebounds, 32 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 4-0 team record. And Saddiq Bey in the East, not rookie of the week, player of the week. Saddiq Bey averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 70% from the 3-point line, and his team has a 3-1 record. Wow. Shout out to Saddiq Bey, man. Shout out. Wow. I'm shocked that a rookie got rookie of the not just rookie of the week, like legit player of the week. Shout out to Saddiq Bey, man. Keep putting good work in. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 17 of the SJP Files podcast. I'm your host, SJP, and I can't wait to talk to you guys later on in the week.